The time is 12 o'clock. Here is the midday news. First, the top stories. Ogun to sign MOU with investors to regenerate its forest reserves. Emir of Kano advocates 50% pay cut for National Assembly members. Lagos tertiary institutions candidates must now possess credit in Yoruba language. Presidency to engage 200,000 health workers to take health to the grassroots. South Africa ANC leaders due to meet to decide President Zuma's fate. 8 die, 40 injured in glass explosion at Carnival in Bolivia. Good afternoon, I am Chienye Igbo bringing you the news in details shortly. Ogun State government is set to sign a memorandum of understanding with 9 agroforestry companies as part of moves to regenerate its forest reserves across the state. Under the agreement, the companies will be allocated land in forest reserves to plant arable crops along with economic trees. Environment Commissioner Chief Kolawole Lawal, who made this known to newsmen in Abeokuta, says government had approved the allocation of land in some depleted sections of the reserves for that purpose. The proposed regeneration project, according to him, will create new jobs in the host communities. It will boost food production in the state and help to mitigate the harsh effects of climate change. A pastor is now in the custody of police in Ogun State for his alleged involvement in armed robbery operation. The cleric, identified as the general overseer of a church based at Iba in Lagos, was arrested last February 1 over his alleged link with a car-snatching gang. Police spokesman Abimbola Oyeyemi explains that a Lexus Jeep snatched by the gang at Lekki Aja Axis was tracked by federal anti-robbery squad officers led by Uba Adam to the house of the pastor at Iba in Lagos. An alleged member of the gang, identified as Animashaun, says their gang specializes in snatching of exotic cars at Lekki Aja Axis. Animashaun told the police during interrogation that the Lexus Jeep snatched was given to the pastor, who gave him only 350,000 naira. The pastor, according to him, allegedly used the Jeep for 2 weeks, preparatory to sending the Jeep to another member of the gang in Onitsha, who will dispossess of the snatched vehicles. Leading opposition party PDP has advised President Muhammadu Buhari to resign as the petroleum minister over the prolonged shortage of petrol nationwide. The party's national publicity secretary Kola Ologodin, who made the call in a statement on Sunday, says Buhari should vacate the portfolio over the unresolved crisis in the petroleum sector. The lingering petrol shortage, which began last December according to PDP, is no longer pardonable and is causing untold hardships on Nigerians. The party blames the petrol crisis on the poor coordination, inefficiency and corruption in the petroleum sector. The petrol shortage began few weeks to the last Christmas and has lingered on. Emir of Kano Alhaji Lamido Sanusi has called for a 50% cut in the salaries and allowances of ministers and members of the National Assembly to bail out the economy and create new jobs. The Emir, in a letter to President Muhammadu Buhari, explains that every member of the Senate collects 36 million naira monthly, while the one in the House of Representatives gets 25 million naira monthly. The former governor of Central Bank of Nigeria says if the 36 million naira monthly salaries is cut by 50%, it will create 70,400 new jobs, each of which will attract monthly salaries ranging from 90,000 naira and 92,000 naira. Emir Sanusi also expresses concern at the monthly pay of 49,000 naira for soldiers who are sacrificing their lives to defend the country's territorial integrity. APC has cleared the chairmanship seats in the Kano State local government poll held last Saturday. 25 political parties participated in the poll, which took place in 44 local government areas of the state. Chairman of the State Independent Electoral Commission, Professor Garba Shika, announced the results of the poll at a news conference in Kano State. Shika also says APC also won all the 484 councillorship seats in the poll. The poll witnessed a low turnout of voters. Candidates seeking admission into any higher institution of learning, including university or polytechnic owned by the Lagos state government, must henceforth possess a credit pass in Yoruba language. Also, all primary and secondary schools in the state, both private and secondary, are also directed to include the teaching of Yoruba language as a core subject at all levels. The directive is a fallout from the Lagos State Yoruba Language Preservation Bill just signed into law by Governor Akinwumi Ambode last week. Any of the schools that fails to comply with the new law on the first violation will get a warning letter and closure and 500,000 naira fine if caught again. National Hajj Commission of Nigeria (NACON) says the payment of 2018 Hajj fee by intending pilgrims must be made on or before March 31. The Commission's Chief Information Officer Malam Adamu Abdullahi, in a statement, explains that the March 31 deadline will enable the Commission to meet up with the deadline by the Saudi authorities for the closure of the Hajj registration. He says the Commission will soon begin educating intending Hajj pilgrims on the new policies introduced by Saudi authorities for the 2018 Hajj exercise. The policies, according to him, include the payment of value-added tax, the biometric data capture, and the introduction of 2,000 Saudi Riyal charge for Hajj and Umrah intending pilgrims. Federal Ministry of Health says it is about to engage 200,000 health workers under the Community Health Influencer Promoter and Service Program. The program, according to the Executive Director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, will be Africa's largest aggregate of community health workers. The program is developed by the agency to link health workers to the rural and other communities out of their reach. Executive Director of the agency, Faisal Shuaib, explains that those to be engaged under the program will go from one home to the other to provide first aid and health education. Shuaib also says they will encourage people in the rural areas where they are assigned to connect to the primary health centers which are nearest to them. The Police Service Commission says more than 150,000 police officers are attached to very important persons (VIP) and unauthorized persons in the country. The Commission's chairman, Mike Okiro, who made us known in an interview in Abuja, expressed concern that some persons who had served as ministers for over 10 years still go about with police guards. According to Okiro, the police force, which is battling with shortage of personnel, can no longer afford to have more than half of its personnel in private hands. President Muhammadu Buhari, shortly after assuming office in 2015, had directed the withdrawal of police officers who were attached to unauthorized persons and VIP for deployment to their core duty. Okiro, a former Inspector General of Police, says the Commission and Force Headquarters had been implementing the directive but suspended it due to lack of funds. You're still listening to the Midday News on Rock City 101.9 FM. Up next, we bring you foreign, business and sports news. Please do stay with us. Now in foreign, leaders of South Africa's governing ANC party are due to meet to decide the future of President Jacob Zuma. The National Executive Committee is likely to ask him to step down. ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa acknowledged on Sunday that the issue was causing disunity and discord. Mr. Zuma, 75, faces a number of corruption charges after 9 years in power. An NEC meeting was called up last week following direct talks between Mr. Zuma and Mr. Ramaphosa, who is the deputy president as well as the new leader of the party. Mr. Zuma has resisted increasing pressure to quit since December, when Mr. Ramaphosa replaced him as leader of the ANC, the African National Congress. At least 8 people in Bolivia have died when a gas canister used by a street vendor exploded during the city of Oruro's famous carnival celebrations. More than 40 others were injured and several victims had to be airlifted to Bolivia's main city as local hospitals struggled to cope. Hundreds of thousands of people take part every year in the carnival celebrations. The blast happened on Saturday evening on a crowded side street which is close to the main parade route. At least 3 children died while others were injured. President Evo Morales wrote on Twitter that he was dismayed at the news of the death caused by the explosion. Now in business, civil servants on the payroll of Kano State government have issued a strike notice over irregular payment of salaries. The state branch of the Nigerian Labour Congress had given the state government up till March 5 to meet the demands of the workers, or they will embark on a 3-day warning strike. The NLC chairman Kabiru Minjibir, addressing a news conference in Kano, explains that the demands include the payment of the outstanding 8-month salary and regularization of recruitment of staff of the State Primary Health Care Agency. Another demand is the stoppage of irregular deductions from salaries and the payment of salary arrears of the staff of the Kano State Senior Secondary School Management Board. Finally, in the midday news is the sports news. 8th CAF Confederation Cup preliminary round, the first leg of matches were played across the African continent on Sunday. Kenyan side AC Leopards were held to a 1-1 draw by Madagascar's Posa Juniors at the Bukungu Stadium in Kakamega, while Ghanaian giants Ashanti Kotoko beat Congo's Car Brazzaville by 1-0 at the Baba Yara Stadium in Kumasi. In Dar es Salaam, Simba secured a 4-0 win over Djibouti's Jeddah National at the National Stadium, Zimamoto of Zanzibar, and a drew by 1-1 with Ethiopian club Welta Dicha at the Aman Stadium in Zanzibar City. Nigeria side Akwa United suffered a 2-1 defeat to Gambia outfit Banjo Hogs at the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, while Rwandan club APR beat Answer Reunion by 4-0 at the Amahoro Stadium in Kigali. Lastly, the Ivorian club Africa Sport drew by 1-1 with FC Nodibu at the Stade Felix Houphouët-Boigny in Abidjan, while RSB Bakena beat Marlborough Petite Côte of Senegal by 2-1 at the Stade Municipal de Bakeni in Bakeni. That was the midday news, and just before we go, the major stories once again. Ogun to sign MOU with investors to regenerate its forest reserves. Emir of Kano advocated 50% pay cut for National Assembly members. Lagos tertiary institutions candidates must now possess credit in Yoruba language. Presidency to engage 200,000 health workers to take health to the grassroots. In foreign, we also reported that South Africa ANC leaders are due to meet to decide President Jacob Zuma's fate, and 8 died, 40 injured in gas explosion at Carnival in Bolivia. For more stories and to listen to us live, please log on to our website www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you very much for listening. I am Chienye. Good afternoon.